Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into some truly fascinating scientific research, along with some historical concepts that are completely going to reframe how you look at human biology. We're going to explore how the human body essentially acts as a dynamic, interconnected electrical web. We are talking about the whole shebang here, from the microscopic, spiraling coils of your DNA all the way out to the sprawling web of connective tissue that literally holds you together. You know, we usually think of our bodies as, well, biological machines, right? A collection of pumps, levers, and chemical reactions. But scientific research is pointing to a much more energetic reality. It turns out we might actually be incredibly complex receivers and transmitters of electromagnetic energy. Basically, your body might just be a highly sophisticated antenna. Section 1, the microantenna. DNA. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start incredibly small. Let's zoom all the way down into the nucleus of our cells and take a look at our genetic code. So, recent studies, specifically pulling from the International Journal of Radiation Biology, are proposing a really radical idea. They suggest that DNA functions exactly like a fractal antenna. Now, if you aren't familiar, a fractal antenna is a very specific type of receiver. It uses this self-similar repeating design to maximize its length inside a really compact space. And this unique fractal-like geometry enables it to receive and transmit across a profoundly wide range of frequencies in the environment. To put that into perspective, think about a standard radio antenna, like the one on an older car. It's linear, and it is meticulously tuned to catch just one specific narrow frequency wavelength at a time. If you want a different station, you have to change the tuning. But a fractal antenna, it's a broadband receiver. Because of its repeating complex shapes, it's reactive across a massive wide spectrum of frequencies all at once. The really crucial point here is that DNA possesses the two exact structural properties you need to make a fractal antenna. First up is self-symmetry, the compact, spiraling, repeating geometry of DNA that is just neatly packed inside the cell nucleus perfectly mirrors fractal design. Second, it has electronic conduction. Research actually shows that electrons can conduct right through the DNA structure, which, as you might guess, is an absolute prerequisite for anything trying to act as an antenna. Moving on to Section 2, frequencies, health, and evolution. Because our DNA is acting like this fractal antenna, it interacts with an incredibly wide range of electromagnetic frequencies in our environment, and that carries some massive implications. As we talked about, the defining functional property of a fractal antenna is its broadband nature. Well, research indicates that DNA reacts to non-ionizing ranges in our environment, like extremely low frequencies and radio waves, in very similar ways. And it doesn't stop there. It also interacts with the much more complex, higher-energy ionizing frequencies. So your DNA is basically constantly bathed in and reacting to this invisible electromagnetic ocean. Now, this heightened reactivity isn't just a quirky physics fact. It has real biological consequences. The sources point out that this antenna-like reactivity to environmental electromagnetic fields can lead to DNA damage, which may actually be contributing to modern increases in cancer epidemiology. And looking backward, scientists even suggest this reactivity might have impacted the rate of our chemical evolution during early geologic history. Our genetic code may have literally been tuned by the ambient energy of the early Earth. Crazy, right? Which brings us to Section 3, fascia, the macro antenna. Let's zoom back out, relieving the microscopic nucleus of the cell and looking at the macroscopic structure of the whole body, where we find that the human form mirrors this electrical conductivity through the fascial matrix. Take a look at this diagram. It maps out the bridge between the outside and the inside of your cells. The extracellular matrix, which is the fascia, connects directly to the inside of the cell via these receptors on the membrane called integrins. And those integrins connect all the way into the cell nucleus, right down to the DNA. It literally creates an information superhighway. A mechanical tug or a little electrical pulse on your fascia can instantly communicate with the very center of your cells. Our sources actually describe the fascia as a liquid crystalline matrix. Because of its highly polarized nature, it acts as a body-wide semiconductor of electrical signals. The collagen fibers inside the fascia conduct electrons, while the surrounding ground substance acts as a reservoir. It's so highly responsive to electrical charge that it picks up subtle whispers of information from both inside and outside the body, transmitting them at incredibly high speeds. Just to give you an idea of how incredibly sensitive this system is, 250 million. That is the estimated number of sensory nerve receptors packed into your fascia. It's our largest sensory organ. And because the system is full of coherent energy, it makes it ultra-sensitive to very weak signals, signals so subtle they may never even consciously reach your brain. But here's the really cool part. The fascia doesn't just receive electricity, it generates it. It does this through this amazing process called biological electropiezoelectricity. Every single time you move, stretch, or even just shift in your seat, mechanical stress is applied to the collagen in your body. Those collagen fibers slightly deform under the pressure, and that deformation sparks tiny electrical charges. Those tiny currents literally guide biological healing and dictate how your tissues and bones strengthen themselves. You're generating electricity just by moving around. Section 4, Bridging Science and History, the Biofield. Honestly, this is where it gets incredibly fascinating for me. Because when we place this modern scientific discovery of an electrified, body-wide matrix next to ancient concepts of energy, they map onto each other astonishingly well. Look at these two models side by side. Our sources note that Eastern traditions describing qi, the chakras, and meridian lines, which you can see mapped out on the right, conceptually parallel the modern scientific understanding of this bioelectric network, seen depicted as a magneto-electric field on the left. Both of these frameworks, separated by thousands of years, are attempting to describe a dynamic, interconnected energy field that maintains the organism's integrity. For hundreds of years, mystics and healers impartially reported seeing an aura or a subtle energy surrounding people. As Auguste Jean-Baptiste Marquez described it way back in 1896, it was a subtle, invisible essence or fluid that emanates from human and animal bodies and even things. Today, researchers are suggesting these historical accounts were likely just early non-technical attempts to describe what science now measures as the body's magneto-electric field and that ultra-fast, light-based cellular communication traveling through our connective tissue. So whether you're looking through the lens of ancient Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, or cutting-edge modern biophysics, the conclusion is strikingly similar. The body does not operate as a collection of isolated mechanical parts. It operates as an interconnected whole, constantly resonating with, generating, and transmitting energy through a vast, subtle web. Knowing what we know now, that from the very fractal structure of our DNA all the way up to the sweeping piezoelectrical web of our fascia, we are literally wired to receive and transmit the subtle electrical whispers of our environment, we are left with a really profound question to think about. Just how much unseen information is your body processing, reacting to, and tuning into at this very moment? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.